Welcome to the Right Space, everyone. My name is Robyn-Lee, and today I have a wonderful guest here, someone I've been longing to speak to ever since the last time I spoke to her. And let me just tell you a bit about my guest today. She is someone I met from the Pro Group, which is run by the Future. If any of you know Chris Doe, he's the guy in charge of that. And the first time I spoke to this lady, it took her a couple of minutes before she was like, "Sweetheart, you don't know what you're doing to you." Yeah, you did. But you let me do the things anyway. And with me here, please welcome Phyllis Williams-Strawder, better known as the Ghetto Country grandmother. Phyllis, can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Evidently, I'm bold as fuck. Oh, but no. What can I tell you? I am a former restaurant owner. I was partnered with my husband for 10 years, and I decided I'd rather be married than be in business with him. So we've been married for going on, it'll be 20 years next month. So we're still good. Um, Growing his personal brand is what led me here. It wasn't a straight road though, because I went and got a life coaching certification and I got a business coaching certification and all these certifications. And it's like, I'm still not where I want to be. So being a people person, I found my way to personal branding. I want to get to the folks before they start putting shit out. So that's the quick and dirty. Yes, I have a degree. I have a business degree. I have other certifications. I've been through a bunch of what they call them, executive programs. So yeah, that's all you need to know. Just trust. It's a whole lot of shit.
Trust you got your bona fide.
Yes.
Yeah, so you are all about personal branding. Your LinkedIn is all about personal branding. And, whenever I read your posts, something I like about you is that you really know your audience and the people that you're speaking to. Like you're saying, like you call them brand babies. You just said that you want to get to them before they start posting and before they start putting stuff out there. What is it that specifically drew you to like that audience? Because every time I read your stuff, I feel like you're giving me a kick in the pants. Why the brand babies and not, I don't know, other people like CEOs or whatever?
When I was in business with my husband, all of the stuff that we did, we kind of learned along the way. And that was 10 years of learning and 12 years of this and 14 years of that. So it was like learn as you go. And when I got to branding, because I was now out on my own, before I was able to always push my husband in front of the camera. I did not have him to do that anymore. So I had to figure out a way for me to do it for myself. And it was the way I learned brand strategy. And it kept pissing me off because people always wanted me to put the client first and the customer first. What does your audience want? Go survey your audience. Fuck the audience. Let me get straight first. But it was that part of it. It's like, okay, let's do a competitive analysis. Why do I have to compete? There's 7
Mm.
billion, million, whatever, however many people in the world. I have to compete for all of those. I'm not competing anymore. I'm not doing data analysis. I know there's a place and a time for data, but when I'm putting myself out here to endorse my business, that's not a data thing. And when people are comfortable being behind the scenes and they now have to be the face because the face gets more play than the business does, sweethearts, you got to make sure that you're right first before you go putting the audience first. And like I said, all of the classes that I've taken around brand strategy, and they all focus on this whole purpose, vision, mission, and values shit. Miss me with the bullshit. But like I said, for me, it was like getting to the person that started it all. What do you want in your life, brand, and business? Not just in your business, but when you start connecting the dots between life, brand, and business, trust and believe they all impact and bump on each other. But creating that separation so you're not doing like some of these babies out here, which are burning out and doing too much and sharing too much. I had to get back to the person. We can get to the business brand, but let's start with you. Let's put you first. Let's be selfish for a minute so then we can go and be selfless and have impact and do all the things. And that's how I kind of like backed into it. I started doing business like fuck the business. Let's get back to you first. So what's that kind of deal? Was that a
That's
good answer?
it was a good answer because I'm thinking, like, how do you? It's something I've been thinking the whole day as I've been like mentally preparing for this. How do you separate the personal from the business? Because like you're the ghetto country grandmother, and like I'm sure, do you have like a business name LLC thingy that's
Like corporate and
legal?
articles of incorporation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's not. I don't rely on that. Like my business name is Grandma's House.
Okay.
And because I want to license out my process at some point or my framework, I want to create other brand parents. And so it's not just this house is not just for me. And then and to be able to separate, the reason I started separating and I learned to separate was again in my first business. I had a personal brand back then and I was known as Mrs. Mister. My husband was Big Mister, and that was the name of our business. It was named after him. And what I call my identity crisis with her, it made me the line was always blurry. There's and like when I say I wanted to separate and go back to being married, is because all this blurry line shit happens when you especially when you're starting out, because it's like my thinking back then is if I don't work, I don't eat. So I always have to be on. One of the I was actually getting ready to write an article before this, but it's like we all have that like motion sensor. It's like, oh, we hear a word, we triggered, we done turned on. It's like, oh, let me go get this business. And it doesn't matter if you're passionate about it or if you have FOMO about it. But that whole identity crisis for me, where I always felt like I had to be Mrs. Mister in order to get attention, in order to be seen, to be heard, and all of that kind of stuff, it's like, this cannot be. And then I also felt like my husband was going to bed with Mrs. Mister more than he was going to bed with Phyllis. So there was that level of crazy as well. And so when I finally got to accepting that, you know what, I want to do personal branding, it was like, you know what, let's separate your personal life and your personal brand. And people think I'm kind of batshit crazy because I talk to GCB. I call her GCB instead of Ghetto Country Grandmother, but I talk to GCB. And it's like, okay, what are we doing today? What are you going to do today? How are you going to show up today? And because I can kind of have that conversation with myself, because self-talk is important.
Mm.
You gotta say the things that you need to say in order to do what you want to do in your business. And again, but I need to be able to not be GCB. It's like, okay, let me go back to being Phyllis, being a mom, being a wife, being a sister, being an auntie, being a bad friend. Yes, I'm a badass friend. But there's all these different things that do not go in my personal brand. I'm not shoving a camera in my face so you can see how I'm living. That know, like, and trust bullshit, sweetie, you don't have to know and like me as a person in order to understand that I can get you where you need to be.
Mm.
Know, like, and trust that I have the ability and the skills to do that. My personal life ain't got shit to do with it. So it's that's how it is for me. It's that level of separation. GCB and Phyllis. When my husband was in here earlier, and he came in and he sat down because I keep a chair in here for him and my daughter. But when he sits down, I take off my glasses. I look away from my laptop. I fold my hands in front of me because I will totally ignore him. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Why are you in here in my business? But I had to learn. It's like even when I'm in work mode, I have to learn how to shut it off. And in order to shut it off, like I say, take my glasses off, put my hands down, don't touch the keyboard. I don't care if he just wants to sit for 5 minutes and shoot the shit, or he just wants to sit here. I'm not touching the keyboard. And it's that level of separation because you're one, I feel interrupted, but not to the point where you know what, you can't stop. You can stop doing this for 5 minutes. You were just writing something. And so being able to do that took me it took me years to learn that, even before I left the other business. But being able to turn it off just that quick. And like I said, not having that motion sensor on me anymore of always like, oh, I'm triggered. So
Mm.
being able to have those conversations with GCB, sweetie, it's time for you to go. Your husband is here. Your daughter's here. Your friend needs you. Hell, you need you.
Mm.
That's a big one that we don't take care of. Like I said, when do you get to turn off and just go be? Have some time to yourself. I want that level of separation. I don't want to take you on my vacations to my pedicures or anything else. No, that's not my business.
Yeah, and that's really important. So, like, if I can recap that quickly, when you talk about personal branding, you take it a level further than just the things you post on the internet to get awareness and clients and all that jazz. It's more of like a mindset, kind of like a lifestyle, where you are conscious about separating your work self and the different kind of hats that you have to juggle. Um, Even though I know you don't necessarily like the word juggle, but no,
No,
because you
I do
like
like the
juggle.
word juggle. I don't
You
like the
like the
word
word
balance.
juggle. You don't like the word balance. Yes. So like juggling those different hats and knowing when it's time to take the work hat off, and by giving that work hat or that work person a name, it's easier to separate yourself and it's easier to have that conversation, um, or that distinction. Because the other day I had an idea for a project that I'm working on, and I sent a voice note to the creative partner that I'm collaborating with on that project. And as I'm like speaking, I'm realizing that this person's working on like two projects for me at the moment and has all these other things. And like my empathy as a friend just took over, and it kind of interrupted the fact that I have an idea for this person that I'm going to pay to help me solve this problem for my clients. And I had to like stop and like as I'm speaking, I'm like, okay, empathy hat off, let's just focus on this thing. And like I said the idea and I was like, okay, cool, I can feel bad for us tomorrow. But right now it's like it's boss Robin or whatever I want to call her. That's like that's there, and when you have that name, it is really like easier and a lot more clear, because then you can even tell your family or your friends that, hey, it's grandmother right now, it's ghetto country GCB time right now.
I know people can't say the whole GCB, so people just start calling me grandma, and that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine because it's my business name as well. Like I said, my company name is Grandma's House. I wanted to feel like home when I work with you. I want you to feel comfortable enough to have that hard conversation. So if I do say, baby, you're doing it all wrong, it comes from a place of love because I don't want anybody out here trying to make their money and missing it because they're doing shady shit. And nobody
yeah,
thought to tell you, sweetie, your skirt stuck in your panties. Pull your dress down. You know, that kind of deal. And
yeah,
and people don't, it's like, well, you don't know what she's going through and you don't know what she's been through today. That ain't got shit to do with me telling her, sweetie, your clothes is showing off all your goodies. Come on.
yeah,
It is not something, it's not a slam. You rather her go around looking like that? Well, she might have done it on purpose. I promise you she didn't. And
mm,
if she did, then she will correct me. You don't get to correct me. It's her place. It's her thing. And it's giving people that level of, for me, it's a level of love. It's showing love. Sweetie, don't do that. Especially don't do that in front of this. This is where you make your money. This is how you get fed, clothed, have trips. This is your money. Don't go out here all shady and having shenanigans going on.
yeah. Now, another thing that you're really great at is creating these kind of identity systems that work together. Like it's the ghetto country grandmother, it's grandma's house, like your new LinkedIn newsletter, which I'll put in the show notes. I'll put a link there. Um, all of it kind of it flows and it connects together. How long does it take you to come up with stuff like that? Even in one of your recent articles, you were going through the process that you're doing for Big Mister, and it was like him and his three ladies, and kind of consolidating and finding these little memorable words and things that focus the brand and create this, perhaps not visually, but that create like this linguistic cohesion for it. Like, how do you do that? What's the process?
It is like once you choose a name for your personal brand, you do have to bring, like you said, linguistics to it. I can't even say the freaking word. I say language, but you have to develop what I call a love language because even though you speak your language, your audience kind of speak a different language. And bridging the two becomes a love language, what I call a love language for your personal brand. And so, like with one of the things with Big Mister that we recently just did, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we named his audience his kitchen kinfolk. And so we did that because a lot of his stuff has to do around cooking and his love of cooking. Even though his trinity is food, booze, and travel, there's still this thing of like when I go into the kitchen. So these are your kitchen kinfolk, whether they're home cooks, whether they're private chefs, whether they're restaurant owners. Sweetie, if you in a kitchen, you are my kinfolk. You understand me and I understand you. And so being able to give it that name, it's like now you get to start building, like I said, you build a language library. A lot of people just go with the basic of this is what my industry is about. And it's not necessarily jargon per se, but it's still the same basic shit. So if you develop this language, it's like at some point, your audience, as long as they hang with you, they're going to start to speak that language. They're going to start, you know what? I have people, oh, can I be a brand baby? Well, you can be a brand baby, but my bona fide brand babies are the ones that paid me. I don't have a problem with you being a brand baby if you want to call yourself one. And I have AB. When I used to talk to AB all the time, AB was the first person who said, I'm your grandson. I'm going to always be your grandson. And so he takes on that moniker. And so, like I said, when you start developing this language that people can attach themselves to because they feel that fucking connected to you, it makes a difference in just saying, you know what, let's talk about design. Okay? You're talking about design like everybody else is talking about design. I'm not interested. Now I'm just going to shop based on price because I want the biggest bang for my buck. But if I tell you that you're my brand baby and I tell you that I'm a nurturing grandmother, that's a connection. And so if you just said I help, you can go through LinkedIn and you can see how many people say I help with this. I help these people do that. No, I nurture. And by nurturing, that means I take my time with you. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to get you here in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. I'm going to take as long as you need me to take because this is not a one and done kind of thing. And so the words that you choose in the library and the linguistics that you bring to the game, it sets you apart. You develop that love language because now you're speaking it to them and they start speaking it back to you. And as far as how long it takes, they may come out like every once in a while, it's like, ooh, I just had a new thing. And now it becomes a part of your lexicon. Now it's always on the tip of somebody's tongue. Because when you start to think about how your worlds are coming together, then it's like, okay, sometimes you can sit here and just pop them off. But then when you start using them, you say, oh, this does not work. Oh, that did not sound right coming out of my mouth. I would never say that word. So then what do? You toss it. But there's nothing saying that you can't try it. So if you sat down today and you're gonna talk to say if you go by Robyn or Robyn-Lee, maybe your friends just call you Robyn. Maybe when you're at work, you're Robyn-Lee because there's a certain different mindset to that. So Robyn-Lee has this language, and she saves this language for over here. I don't go outside calling people brand babies when I'm not working. I don't talk about grandma's house unless you ask me about grandma's house. I don't talk about nurturing unless I'm talking about my daughter. And so there's this thing where, you know what? I think this is something that Robyn-Lee would do. Robyn don't do it all the time, but Robyn-Lee needs to bring it to the personal brand because this is something that she always says. And if you're going to pick a name and you're going to own that name, what else is tied to that name? If you think about a mother is always, well, not all mothers are nurturing because there's some bitches out there. But when you think about mothering, it's natural to think of nurturing, even though not all mothers are nurturing. And then you start to like, well, what else do I have? And however you build out that language, knowing who you're trying to connect to, then it starts to develop itself. And it doesn't mean that you got to go batshit crazy and use every word in your lexicon every freaking time. It's just like, this is what fits this situation.
Good. So, like, if we are going to just summarizing that, first of all, it's starting with your brand name. So, if I went with like I'm the Robyn-Lee to your Batman, or something like that. That would be like the start of it, and then building it around building the rest of this um, library, or your personal brand library, around that concept. So if you think about like Robin and Batman, or I'm the Robin to your Batman, that's like superhero stuff. So then you think about like, how do I name the company that? How do I name like these products? How do I take my like processes, if you are like a service-based person, like how do you do all of that in line with the idea of a superhero and a sidekick, where you are the sidekick, like the main
Mm-hmm.
person is the sidekick in this case. Yeah, so that's start with yourself and then brainstorm those concepts and let it take time, because like ideas don't just pop up when you want them to.
Not always, no.
They come. And testing them so that you know what feels comfortable and what
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice solid process. Now, something I really wanted to talk to you about is you have some beef with common marketing and business things, and you've mentioned two of them already. The first one is the purpose, vision, mission, values thing, and I want to just like kind of dig into that and kind of understand one, what these things are and in what spaces they work, because they do work in some spaces, and then why you think that it is either um, the beginners or the people that you speak to, that your brand babies, um, why is it that they, what misconceptions they have, or just why do you think that this just isn't helping the people that you speak to?
Let's take Simon Sinek, because
Okay.
he wrote the book. Let's start with why. All right, when he wrote that book, he was talking to people who had already built $1 million corporations. He was not writing that for the average small business, and I hate the word small business, but there's no other word. But he wasn't writing it for you. He was
Mm-hmm.
writing it for corporate greedy folks who had lost their way and don't give any recognition or value to like what this is all about. You want to start with why, sweetie? You were hired as a CEO, paid millions. You could give a fuck about why, but he's trying to tell you that you need to and you should. So he was writing that for them, not for you, because at this level, I don't care if you are making $1 million on the regular. At this level, sweetie, what's your reason why? I'm trying to get fucking paid and I don't want to go get a job. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that simple. But when you talk about a larger purpose, people always bring up Patagonia. Okay, Patagonia is all about sustainability and all that kind of stuff. And then they did, I forgot what they did to their corporation. And they turned, I know it's a B Corp and all that kind of stuff, but they did something with their structure. But even in the structure, they did not lose control. People think, oh, they did such a great thing. The motherfuckers still held on to their money though. They just changed the corporate structure, but they look like they're more philanthropic. I get it. That's a business decision. But trust and believe. Wherever that money is going, it's still going into their pockets. So the purpose was, yes, we wanna continue to do this, but we're not gonna relinquish a hold on our profits. That's a business decision. And so when you talk about a mission, your big ass mission, it's like, okay, my mission is to go to Mars. All right, why do I care?
Mm-hmm.
How does this even apply to the people that you're trying to impact and that you're trying to be of service to? Because at the end of the day, yes, I start off from a selfish place, like I said, but I get to a selfless place. Once I finally just put my personal brand out there, it is no longer selfish, it's selfless. I'm here to serve intentionally. And so when you know that that's your thing, and why do you need a mission? Your mission can change from day to day. But if you decided that, you know what, I'm going to change the world of food by bringing this thing into here. All right, that's your mission. Do your customers really care about that? Because mission and values and all that stuff is supposed to be internal, but you slap it on the website as if it's supposed to change everybody's mind about how they feel about this company. Sweetie, it was never your business to begin with. So why do we care about your mission? But like again, we're taking our lead from corporations that have made or are making millions and now billions. I think I just read something. Virgin is about to hit 200 and something billion in revenue. Do you really think he gives a shit about the mission? Because at the end of the day, like I said, money is the driving force. Even though we want to have impact, even though we want to be charitable, you can't be charitable broke. You can't
Yeah.
give something you don't have. So in the bigger scheme of things, money is always the why. But then they ask you, well, if you take the money, if you take away the money, would you still do it? Yeah. Because I
Yeah.
promise you, once grandma makes her level of money that she wants to make, I'm going to be giving free shit all over the place. But right now, I have to get to the lifestyle where I'm comfortable. Because, like I said, my personal brand impacts my personal life.
Yeah.
And so I have to generate the revenue so that I can pay myself at a certain level to be able to have that life. And then it's going to be free all up and through. People ask me, like, why do you still exchange time for money? Because I need you to look me in the eye when you tell me, oh, but it didn't work. Really? What'd you do? Well, I was gonna. See, it wasn't a gonna. It was, what did you do? Well, see, what happened this weekend? I didn't ask you what happened this weekend. What were you gonna do? And it's being able to look people in the eye. When you send them off to an online course, no, baby, I'm gonna hold your hand, but I'm also gonna hold you accountable.
Mm.
So that's part of my mission, because it is this much bigger thing than, like I say, a statement on a wall, on a website. Hell, I don't care if you tattoo it on your arm. It don't mean shit to nobody but you.
Yeah.
And then
Like
you get
when
to hiring for skills. Okay, people who work for you don't give a shit about the vision. They care about a paycheck. So unless you
mm,
make sure that vision is all up and through everyone that works for you, again, it does not matter. You hired them based on skill. You didn't ask them did they believe in the vision. Most of them are gonna lie anyway because it's a big ass paycheck.
people always lie. Uh, I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, the thing I was gonna say is like your point about all of that stuff being written by like these multimillionaires, billionaires for multimillionaire, billion, multi like figure corporations is kind of a valid point because when I started out, I listened to all of that stuff. I listened to this guy called Evan Carmichael, and that's kind of he has your one word instead of your why. You find your one word, and um, that's like kind of how the right space came up. And I had this whole mission about like this whole dream thing, whatever. But none of it makes sense with what I actually do. It's
Mm-hmm.
just airy fairy stuff in the sky that if I write a book someday, I can say, that this is what this is about, or if I give a speech, like if I introduce myself on a podcast or whatever, I can say, the right space is the place where people blah 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 blah. Um, but like right now, as it impacts my actual business goals, like it's not relevant because I'm not at that stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that you write books where you are sharing these things. Like Balance is Bullshit is the one that I read, and I actually would like to have you back to talk about the book that's behind you. Um, because I
Oh,
haven't read
Valen,
it yet. I haven't read it
I'll
yet,
send
so I
it to you
can't
after the
really.
show. I'll send it to you after
Okay,
the
cool.
show. Okay.
And then, yeah, once I've read it, we can get back on and just like talk about what's in there.
Okay.
Um, but I like that you write specifically to people at a like at that beginner stage and at that stage because like if I waited with all the right space stuff and all the naming stuff and all that jazz until now, I might have come up with different things, and it's to some extent it kind of like it hinders you or it
Mm-hmm.
locks you in because now every single thing, like every invoice, everything you created has the stamp on it, and it's kind of hard to just blow it all up and put other
Mm-hmm.
paint on it. um So I see why you have your beef for that. Now, the no like and trust thing. Why are you so upset with people? Because like here's my thing, right? You need
Okay.
to you need to like be aware that a thing exists before you can buy it. Like with the the like Big Mister's he's is a he's steakhouse restaurant place where he feeds people and makes food. You need to be aware that it exists and where it is before you can go get that. You don't need to like Big Mister, but you don't even need to like that place, but you need to prefer it to the other place next door or the place across the street in order to choose it. And you need to kind of trust that when you go in there, they're not going to poison you and they're not going to like get your order wrong and the wait staff's going to treat you properly. So you need to have that confidence that you're going to get your money's worth when you go there. Um, that's how I see no like and trust. So what
Okay.
is it that you think people get wrong about the no like and trust factor? Or why do you think yeah, why are you
Why does
so
it get on my
anti?
nerves?
Yeah, why does it get on your nerves?
Because people have applied know, like, and trust to their personal brand, and they think that you know, like, and trust them because they share a lot of their personal life with you. And me personally, sweetie, I could give a rat's ass about your personal life if I'm paying you for something.
Yeah.
And so when you've allowed that KLT to dominate how you create content, so now your family's in the picture, and now you're taking us to dinner with you, and you're trying to tell me a story about your business, but you're showing me a plate of food. Why? You think this makes me like you more? I know there's a level of oh, we like the same kind of food. That's not gonna make me drop $1,000 on you because we both like burgers from this place. I don't care. And so, like I say, they bastardize know, like, and trust and personal branding to make it, you know what, this is about me. It's
Mm,
not about you. Know, like, and trust, sweetie, me personally, I will spend money with people I respect, even if I don't like them, because I know they're the best at what they do. So to now take on the mantle, this is why you guys keep making this shit personal. Oh, well, people gotta know, like, and trust you in order to. No, the fuck I don't. What I need for you to show me is that you're capable of doing the job that you're asking me to drop all this money on. If I'm gonna drop a band on anything, then I need to know. I don't care where you ate last night. I don't care if your husband loves you. I want to know, can we get this work done?
mm,
Oh, yes, your kids are cute, but are you going to put them away when it's time to get this work done? And then part of personal branding, if your kids are a part of, I was on a call with someone and her son, before we got on the call, she told me, my son is, what's the word um, I forgot the word she used, but I'm like, I'm cool with kids. I don't have a problem with you bringing because this is your money and your time.
mm,
Now, if you're going to allow them, I'm giving you an hour. If you let them take up 30 minutes, they ain't got shit to do with me. It's still going to be the same amount of money. But then also, because this is a big part of your life, if you're going to bring your kids in, just because you allow them that freedom, then people need to understand that. And so when that comes across in your personal brand, you know what? My kids are always interrupting my personal, but I do not let this negate from how I treat my clients. Let them know. Instead of waiting until they're on a call with you and you're like, oh, well, let me go check out my son. Oh, let me go stop this and let me go do that. This is my time that I paid for. So you should have told me beforehand. I don't give a rat's ass. Like I said, it doesn't matter that you're taking your son to school or you're taking him to the park, but your son is a part of your business because you allow them the freedom to come in and have their time. You don't
mm,
stop being mom when the client comes on. Just let them know that. That's why you're sharing your son. You know, me and my son are doing this, or me and my daughter are doing that. And so, no, like, and trust is not what you think it is in my book. I don't need you to know me like that. I need you
mm,
to know that, you know what, I've been doing personal branding for about 20 years. I was doing it before I even knew I was doing it. That's how you want to see, go back and look. There's articles, there's TV. I've been there, done that. That's what you know. Do you like me because of it? I have no idea. Oh, she thinks she all that because she was on TV. No, I really don't because I didn't want to go. But do you trust me? Because I got on TV. You still trying to get there.
mm.
No, I don't mean that. But know, like, and trust, making that shit personal is what gets under my skin. Because now, like I say, when people tell you to market yourself, they're telling you to put a price tag on your ass. And instead of leading and endorsing the work that you do, you're out here flexing your degrees and your galas that you've gone to and all of that kind of stuff. Sweetie, let me know, like, and trust that you can bring value to the game when I pay you my money.
Yeah.
That's my beef with know, like, and trust.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And um, a client that I work with shared something similar where he's like, all the things that businesses do, the websites, the brochures, the all that marketing stuff, even like the email signatures, all that stuff, all of it is technically speaking nonsense because no one really cares or looks at it, but it's all like makeup and dressing, and we're all playing house because everyone kind of knows that, okay, if you dress this way it means you're sort of kind of legit, and that's the only reason that it's kind of there. It's to make it seem like you are, you look the part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's about it. It's not necessarily where you bought the whatever, like you would say, it's not necessarily about like the person whose kids interrupt their sessions, having their kids on in the context of like why they do their business. Like Jasmine Star does a really good job of like including her family in her marketing because
Mm-hmm.
her kid does interrupt her sessions,
Yes.
and her husband is her business partner, so who is behind the scenes when a lot of times when she does stuff, and then she'll talk to him, and then when people when that happens and now she's mentioning JD, or like Luna comes and sits on her lap while she's supposed to be doing a coaching call, the community doesn't think, oh my goodness, what's going on? They're like, oh my goodness, it's Luna. Because
Yeah.
they've seen her on the posts,
Yeah.
and it's strategically aligned again to that um, brand
To that personal
vocabulary
brand.
and
Yes.
the personal brand.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak with me. I had so much fun with you, and I do hope that we'll have you back. Tell the people where they can find you and support you, and yeah, where can people find you?
You can always find me on LinkedIn. What? LinkedIn, everything is GC Brand Mother. So you can find me on LinkedIn under that. You can also find me on IG. I'm trying to get back to my IG, y'all, but oh my goodness, seems like such a chore. What else? Threads. I'm very spontaneous on Threads. I talk a lot of shit on Threads, so I'm on there. I recently started writing for Medium. So I'm on Medium now, and like I said, all of it is GC Brand Mother. But just getting back to my roots, I love to write. Sometimes I get stuck, but I still love to write, and that's where you can find me. Just go type in GC Brand Mother; she'll pop up somewhere. I don't do Twitter. I don't do what? I don't do Pinterest. I don't do any of that. I don't do TikTok. Oh my god.
That's good to know. So yeah, go check her out, support her, give her some love, so she'll come back and talk to us about her book. And see you guys next time. Bye.